What's up, YouTube? Gen X. I really hate when people assume way too much. There's this idea that simply having a black-owned business is going to affect the black community. No, not at all. Um, People are screaming for black leadership, or excuse me, black ownership, and I'm like, okay, you're asking for it, but are you sure that it's going to impact you directly? No one is getting into the business of owning something just for the sake of helping out a community. They're trying to profit financially. That is their number one goal. So obviously, yes, if you can um, develop some sort of product or service, put it in a community that will benefit from it and they'll support you, and in turn you can hire people from that community, it's a win-win, right? But that's secondary. Our primary concern is to make as much money as possible, simply put. Um, so I could be trying to have some, shit pop off, or I could have a team of black men and we're trying to get some shit popping off. And it's not guaranteed that we're developing some sort of product or service that's going to cater towards the black community. Why? You know what I mean? Why? There's other groups of people who have no problem making money off of the black community, but they're not black themselves. So how come we can't go off and try to get the non-black dollar? Right? Especially when we don't necessarily make the best and brightest moves when it comes to money, right? And we don't have the sort of disposable income that other communities have. Why should we? From a business standpoint, why should I? Why should I open up or create another hip-hop clothing line? How come I can't create some, product line that white boys and white girls wear, right? I can make money doing that as well. In terms of where I place my business, why do I have to put it smack dab in a certain area? Like why? Why do I have to open up my business in, the inner city area? Or just an area where there's a whole bunch of black people? Why? Why do I have to employ a whole bunch of black people, especially if I'm dealing with a non-black clientele, right? Best believe if I have some store and I'm selling clothing that typically non-black people wear, well, I'm going to put people in the store that look like the customers. Simply put, right? You go to a hip-hop clothing store, they're going to have a certain type of people working there. You're going to go to a certain type of store, let's say Abercrombie and Fitch, and you're going to have a certain type of people working there. So who's to say that I'm going to go off and hire black men and black women? It's not going to happen. Like I said, I would like to, but it's not automatic. See, you can have a black-owned business, but that simply means that the owner is black. My workforce doesn't have to be black. I don't have to be in a black location. I don't have to make a product or service catered towards the black community. I don't have to do any of that. Because my primary concern is to make money. Simply put. Right? There is more to the equation than simply saying we have to own something. Even if you want to talk about home ownership and, people talk about, getting a home because it appreciates in value and whatnot, why should I buy my home in a certain area knowing that it's not going to go up in value, People just don't do stuff when it comes to financial moves for the sake of doing it. There has to be a trade-off. They have to know they're going to benefit. It's a two-way street. Definitely it's a two-way street. Like I said, ideally, yes, we would need black businesses, okay, that put themselves in a location where other black people would have access to what they're trying to do, obviously, and in turn, we would be able to hire people from that community, okay. But on the other side of the coin, it has to be shown that that community is willing to support whatever gets opened up in their area. People don't talk about the black men and women that have tried to do stuff before, but it falls off. Okay? I know a couple of spots, soul food spots that tried to get popping off, but no one went to them. No one supported them. You know, I even knew one lady, she had a bookstore, and oh, it was a lovely place. She was talking about expanding, and it would have been a great look if it popped off, but black people didn't support her business. You know, she was more than willing to hire, you know, give people an opportunity to do what they had to do, right? She didn't get the support. So it's a two-way street here, right? The same people that are saying they need the help and, you know, where's, you know, the relief, have you shown that you're going to spend your money wisely? I mean, how's the black dollar spent right now? It's spent on bullshit. We don't have it. We don't have the disposable income, yet, you know, we're big spenders. And we spend our money on bullshit, right? I can understand, you know, I've worked for different companies, okay, you know, test prep and whatnot, especially in college, right? And they're expensive, you know, the whole SAT prep and whatnot. And it was mainly suburb people, okay? They had the money. Kids who were already smart, they didn't really need it, but for whatever reason, they're willing to pay, you know, this company a whole bunch of money, and they paid us pretty well. So, you know, it's one of those, your son and daughter doesn't really need to come here, but, I mean, I'm not going to tell you to stop. But there was always a couple of families that definitely couldn't afford it, okay? They couldn't afford it, but they still put their child in there because they saw the value, right? They didn't have the disposable income, but they were still spending their money wisely, right? Are black people willing to do that? I know there's not a lot of financial resources flowing out, but are they willing to spend their money wisely, right? Also, because I opened up a black business, does not mean I'm going to give you a mad discount. And a couple people talked about this before. I'm going to give you some incredible discount keeping it black. No, that's not support, okay? When white men do business, is there a hookup? Of course there's a hookup, but it's nothing monumental. They're supporting each other because they know that that sort of money is going to stay in the community. So it's one of those things where I'm paying $10 for this service, but I'd rather make sure that that $10 goes to you than somebody else, right? And in turn, that guy may say, you know what, let me give you $1 off, but nothing significant. See, the fear that a lot of black people have in terms of who may want to open up a business is that people aren't going to support because they're not going to give some crazy discount. Obviously, you want to hook your people up, but you can only go so far. Why? Because you're trying to make money. You know, if I buy a shirt, and let's say the shirt costs me $10, you know, in order for me to make a profit, you know, or do well, I got to sell it to you for 20. You know, black people are going to want that shirt for, you know, 11 bucks, and it's just like, yo, I'm not making any money. Let me give it to you for 18, 19, right? Fuck that. I'm still not going to buy. I'd rather go buy from a white man. And that's the mentality that a lot of black people have. I'm going to go buy from somebody else because you're not giving me enough of a hookup. You know, the whole idea of financial support isn't necessarily predicated on the fact that you're getting it cheaper from another black person. It's predicated off of the whole belief that we're going to keep the money inside the community and it's going to circulate, right? You know, I'm going to pay you for this shirt, you know, not necessarily because I'm getting a crazy discount, but because I know that your money goes to paying, you know, local property tax in this environment or this community, which in turn leads to this, which in turn leads to that. You know, I know that this money is going to go to paying your employees, right? You know, because you're hiring young black men and women to work for you. So I know that, you know, by me paying for this shirt, I'm helping out, right? And even with your own family, I know that, you know, this is going to support a black family. So with that being said, there's a lot of misconceptions floating around about black ownership and black businesses and whatnot and what that actually means. It's a two-way street. I'm going to keep it for reals with y'all. You know, I have shit in the works, and I've talked to other people who have shit in the works as well in terms of ownership and trying to do something. And we think about who we want to cater our business to, right? You know, who is our target market? And we want to say, yeah, man, you know, we want to fuck with black people 100%, but it's like, are they really going to spend wisely? You know, what are black people spending their money on, right? So would it be my best bet to focus in this group, especially like with me, because a lot of shit that I want to do is academically and educationally based, right? That's where I'm at, and I'm like, how much money do people spend? Like I said, I've seen non-black communities. I've dealt with families, whether they're Hispanic, Asian, or Indian, that didn't come from money. You know, mind you, you don't, just because you're from a certain background does not mean you can't be in a lower socioeconomic bracket. And I've seen these people not have the money, but spend on education because they know what it means for their child, right? But will black people spend for their child? No, right? You'll have the ones that would say, oh, we don't have the money, right? You know, we just can't afford it. Fine. But, you know, you're looking at what they're wearing, what the kids wearing in school. You know, they have a Chrysler 300 on 22s. And it's just like, what's really good right now? You know, the mother's hair is always done, right? That's not like getting a $20 haircut, right? And it's like, but you didn't have the money. You didn't have the money. And to make it even worse, the most fucked up part, I've even worked for nonprofits before that did shit for free. So where all you had to do was sign up, it was dead free. And they were only fucking with people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. Dead free. You had no obligation whatsoever. Black people still won't sign up because education is not something that's valued. So if it's for free and y'all not valuing it, what makes me think that if I put some money on it, you know, if I put a price on it, that you're going to pay for it, that you guys would support me, right? And it sucks, but it's just the truth. It's the freaking truth, right? And people can get mad, people can say what they want to say, but like I said, it's a two-way street. No one is saying that we shouldn't be, you know, making businesses and doing whatnot that service the black community, but the black community has to really show that they're trying to spend. You know, just imagine if black people were spending their money wisely, but then they were spending it, you know, in non-black communities. Then there would be that real push. You know, black people are, you know, we want our kids to be able to, you know, score well on their SATs. So we're paying some Asian guy to come through and, you know, give lessons to my son and daughter. It's unfortunate because I would love to see, you know, a young black college kid come through and, you know, tutor my daughter or my son, but we don't have it. Or, you know, we're trying to invest our money, the little that we have, we're trying to spend it wisely. So we're going off into different communities and, you know, they're helping us manage our money properly, right? You know, it's not even as if you see people making wise choices with their money, right? So there really is no incentive, right? If you're coming from the standpoint of, yeah, I'm trying to run something. Black owned doesn't mean a lot of things. You know, people are trying to put dubs on everything, but just because it's black owned, all that means is that the head honcho is the black guy. I could have a company where everybody's white, but I'm the head honcho, so it's definitely black owned, right? You know, how many labels have a whole bunch of black people running around doing AR and doing this, that, and the third, right? But at the end of the day, the head honcho is some bearded white man, right, who can care less about hip-hop and R&B. So that's just the truth. So anyways, that's my video. Really had to put it out there because you just hear so many conversations where people are assuming just way too much. And I guess a lot of this has to do with a product of my environment, but, you know, I've seen, you know, black men and black women own, so that's nothing new. But I'm like, yo, that clientele isn't black. Okay, you know, I've seen black doctors and whatnot, own black lawyers and whatnot doing their thing, and their employees are black, and they're not servicing the black community, right? You know, and you would think that these people are self-hating and they're not trying to serve their community, but I understand. You own your own business because you want to profit from it financially. Anything outside of that is secondary, right? So that's my vid. Let me know what you think. God bless.